Okay. So, this is, oh no, someplace it's broken. It's okay. We're here, everybody. We'll figure out where it's not going somewhere. That's sad. So we'll have to figure that out.
Where's it not going?
I have no idea. Okay, sit down. Zach always has to get situated. I've said this before, like movie. He's always the last to come. He's got to get all of his things. He's got 3 different drinks here. His phone.
I got my coffee mug. I got my Mio, which, by the way, do you guys ever drink Mio? I love it.
Yeah.
And I have my massive jug
I'm
here.
gonna go like that because it's always vertical on these other things.
Twice a day. All right, Monday.
What questions do you have for me today, Zach Radson?
Maniac Monday. I have a question.
Mhm.
Well, I have a question I'm going to ask you. Well, I already know the answer because there's nothing I could learn about you anymore. I had a good conversation about that yesterday.
Okay.
About like, it is kind of crazy how like automatic and default we fall into like already knowing each other.
Mhm.
Because I feel like there's always something, because even if I like know like a preference of yours,
yeah,
I'm always curious. Probably because I have FOMO. I'm always curious on what you're thinking like right now. I'm always like wanting. That's why I'm always wanting to talk to you and interrupt you. So I'm like always like, I'm always like, what's going through your mind like right now? Like, what are you thinking about? Like, what's going on? Because I'm constantly pulled like into the future.
Mhm.
And so for me, it's a blessing to be able to be really present. And one might say, well, yeah, it's always good to be present. But at the same time, I think everyone has a kilter. Like for some people, it is really healthy for them to dream and think forward. But for me, like I default there. So I'm always kind of curious, like, where are you spending like?
But in terms of what?
I don't know. I don't have. That's the thing. I'm always just wanting to like know, like, what are you thinking now? What are you thinking now? What are you thinking now? Like, I wish I could
know how
like
to get rid of this. Sorry,
read your
you guys.
mind.
There's like some
What is it?
update, and I don't like it. It's like messaging.
Oh, the new,
like,
yeah, the
so
new.
annoying.
Yeah, that was my fault. I think it asked for an auto update.
God.
But,
okay. So you're always wondering what I'm thinking.
Yeah, because it's like, yeah, I'm always thinking because you, I admire your level of. I'm always trying to like assess. I'm not proud of this. I'm always trying to assess. Okay, is what I'm doing right now.
Don't do that.
The best thing to do right now.
Well, hitting the table when the camera is on it is not the best
thing.
Mm-mm.
And but then you're always sitting there so focused, like you're locked in. You're locked and loaded. And I've experienced that like insane focus where it's like I know exactly what I'm doing right now. I know exactly where I'm going. I know what the finished product is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to just laser in. Everyone, shut up and let me do my work. And I'm like, oh man, what's that feel like?
So but you just said you know what it's like. So what's your question?
I know what it feels like, and I'm just jealous of you sometimes.
I think maybe it's just because I manage my squirrel brain on the outside better than you do on the outside. I think I'm just as squirrely or get distracted by shiny objects. I think I just I wear it differently.
You wear it differently, yeah. Yeah. No, that's interesting, yeah. Yeah, I was going to bring up a different topic too. I think of all the questions. So I posted that reel yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And if you haven't checked it out, I just posted on my Instagram and Facebook. And
you have to come closer because see, this is why this.
What's wrong? Work. Oh, there it is.
Okay.
There it is. We got to figure that out. And I want to honor how people. I think it's really admirable. It's a tough place to be when you want to honor and acknowledge. There's a lot of people out there that want to make a massive contribution in the realm of healthy marriages, relationships, improving divorce rates, less toxic families, less resentment, less bitter marriages, things like that. And I think I want to like inspire a lot of that to keep going. I think I feel torn sometimes because I thought it's like when you see someone trying to help. And they do help, so I don't want to take that away. However, there is a lot of pitfalls of how like what a good marriage should look like, and I think it's very tempting because you can fall into that comparison trap. And obviously, the more we dig into this like realm of like health and relationships, you see a lot of like shoulds and coulds and what like if you're in a good marriage, here's what it looks like. You know, I mean, I countless like here's what successful marriages do, and it immediately takes you out of it a little bit, and it puts you into this fantasy realm of like
comparison.
Yeah, not just comparison, but what like the word should isn't based in reality either, because it's not happening like right now. It's like what can be created, and I think it does create a little bit of tallying or scorekeeping. Like if I read marriages should pick up the slack when you're feeling down, and then okay, well, the last
specifically he's talking about something he shared yesterday.
I shared yesterday.
You're being weird. I don't know why you weren't just saying that.
And I did. I did the real I shared.
Okay.
I did.
Okay. Just say like what that was, which
was like you're not always at 100%. Like marriages are not always 100. Like sometimes you're at like 20%, and your spouse needs to pick up 180%, or sometimes like you're at 50%, and your spouse needs to do 150%, or you need to do 150%, so they're at 50%. And I think I appreciate the concept of like, because there are times when you're down and I'm like, you know what, Sierra, don't worry about it. I got dinner. I got this. Don't worry about it. Or when I had like massive headaches or whatever, or I'm just sick, or just, in sickness and health, there's times where you quote unquote do like take on a lot of responsibilities. It's just dangerous to say how it should be, because
it's dangerous to say that is how it should be,
because that's not always the agreement for every couple.
Right.
And it depends on the dynamics, the family situation. Do you have kids?
Well, there may not be any type of anything at all around that. So.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it's like, but you read that and you're like, oh, and I think I'll admit the first thing that I thought of was like, it's trying to, play devil's advocate. Is like, well, I immediately said, wow, I feel bad because there's probably someone that's like hungry, desperate, looking for something.
Oh, there was. That comment section was a bunch of people who are in
my husband. I wish my husband did that, but I'm the one that always picks.
It's only my husband could read this.
Yeah,
and it was like, ooh.
So it causes actually more breakdown.
Yeah.
So, but I also feel like I want to tread lightly, because I also love. We need. There's a. You can tell the world's hungry for relationship, and humans need relationship.
Okay.
And so I also want to honor good intentions, and like at least like.
I think you're being too nice.
Yeah, but you don't want to. Like,
I don't mind not being. I don't mind. So I'm just going to tell you. I think Zach's being too nice about this.
Classic.
I think things like that are really screwing up people's relationships. And I'm not saying this to be like, oh, we know it all. I'm saying this because we've seen it.
We've lived it. Too.
We've lived it. We've seen it. We've coached people through it. We've sat in numerous rooms. And these types of things are damaging to relationships when you don't know what you're actually engaging with. And so, yeah, I think you're being a little bit nicer, and I don't mind being a little bit saucy about it, because for the amount of times that we've seen people try to solve, or, oh, well, when we started implementing this, it was really, really great. And it's like, okay, cool. But like, trust me, when you get into major breakdown, when you have actual trauma, real life stuff happen in your life, getting on the floor and talking to each other all cute is not going to do anything for you, because you're outside of what a relationship is at that point. So,
or like couples that have marriages that have sex more often are happier.
Yeah, it's like,
be careful.
Not necessarily. So, yeah. So I think it whenever we are going through lists, or what a love-filled marriage looks like is realize that if seeing something like that upsets you or makes you go, oh, I wish my partner was looking at this, or when you're listening to something and you want to like elbow your partner to make sure they're listening, or whatever it is, that very thing has just added to a relationship template that you would like your partner to check off every single box for, that is unattainable. And so each time you see a list like that, each time something like that is given to you, oh, for a great marriage, you should do ba, 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 ba. It's like, you're just adding more boxes to check to a relationship template that you would
It's
like to live.
It's amazing how much you
and it
do
is
that, like,
it is rough out there. It is a jungle out there. So I know you were trying to be nice because you're like, I know they want to, there's good intentions out there. Sure. And there's people who make a good amount of difference. It is a great relationship Band-Aid. Just like if you are chasing something for your business, you know, everybody knows in their business right now that there's probably a very, very easy sale, promotion, paid advertising, or something that you could do for a very quick boost, right? If you have a business, you know what that is. But you don't do it all the time because it's really just a Band-Aid for that like short-term financial gain that you need, right? So you don't do that all the time, and it's not going to work all the time. Same thing with like your health. You can find a really great health Band-Aid. You can find some good detox to shed 10 pounds real quick or whatever. And that's a really great Band-Aid. Chances are you're going to need that Band-Aid again in 6 months. Same thing with the relationships. You can find something that's a really, really good Band-Aid, nice tips and tricks to do, blah, 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 blah. And then you're going to need it again. It's a really good Band-Aid. And so what we're saying, there's actually a way to be engaged in relationship in such a way where the need for Band-Aids actually like disappears. The need for us to be like, oh, we really need to do X, Y, and Z. It just kind of disappears. It's not to say that upsets don't happen. They still happen.
Yeah.
They still happen. They look very, very different. And there is an experience there for people to have. And so Zach shared yesterday about something that was basically telling, and it was very popular. And it was basically telling couples to tally it up, friends. And I don't know about you, but anytime I've kept score, it's normally with someone that I want to lose. Like, I want them to lose. So why?
Or you're at least looking to break even.
Yeah.
So, no, you want to break even. I don't know if you want them to lose. You want them to break even.
If you are playing a game of some kind and you are keeping score, you want the other person to lose.
But no, because if they lose, then you lose because that's what leads to upset.
But in relationship, you don't live it that way. So when you're putting language around relationship as in someone loses, which would be keeping score, then subconsciously you're living in a place of they always lose. You make them wrong. Yeah. You're always right. They never do that for you. They're not doing X, Y, and Z. You do all of it. Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. It's like you can live in that place if you want, but that is a marriage of keeping score, and that is exhausting.
Well, maybe there's like a life. I mean, I think of a real life example for us. Like sometimes, especially like years ago, yeah, I don't like how you have to sit so far ahead of me, but is it the camera?
Yeah, because if I sit back here,
it's like I'm just talking. I'm talking to you.
Is on the edge of the thing.
That way I can actually talk to you.
It's fine. I'll just hurt my butt.
Okay. We can switch out a fatter butt. Yeah, I think it's tempting when you look. It is a comparison trap. Because I've definitely back in the dark days, you'll see a relationship. Like I'll see like another woman be like, "Oh, honey, like, do you want to do this or do you want this?" And like, Sierra doesn't, and like you see like, oh, they look happy.
Sierra doesn't do that.
Sierra doesn't do that for me, like that. But they have a good relationship, or they're happy, or like it's whatever you're measuring against. Like at the time, like we talked about hiking and adventure. I might say like, well, because Sierra doesn't like to be spontaneous or adventurous. That's what I want, and they have that, and that's what they do. So if Sierra does that, then we'll have that.
We'll have that type of relationship. Another thing too, like we talked about this a little bit the other day. Like you thought that I was gonna like want to be this like stay-at-home mom. You bring home all the bacon, and so you would come home living from a space of, well, I'm checking all of these boxes. What did you do? Meanwhile, I was working part-time and taking care of a baby. And then so on my side, I'm like, I'm working and taking care of a baby. You're doing only one of those things. And it's like, you see how like the scorekeeping and like the tallying like happens so easily by default. What we started to engage with was a way of interacting in relationship, being actually very aware of the default way of being in relationship. And once that happens, that scorekeeping kind of just like, kind of just disappears. Like I don't actually ever experience that with you. If I do have an upset where I'm like, okay, this is great. Just like in Arizona, we were just in Arizona on like this trip, and there was a moment. I think we were just like getting the kids ready to leave out the door, and you were very much just taking care of yourself, while the kids, meanwhile, were like looking for stuff or whatever. But because we know a default way of being in a relationship, I could like feel myself getting upset that Zach was not helping me with the kids, right? Like, and I can.
When was this?
It was in Arizona. We were like, we're getting ready to like go to the pool or go to my aunt's house or something. I don't remember. Or maybe it was like the airport. Anyway, doesn't matter, because I'm sure this has happened some other time. But I can feel myself getting upset. Why isn't he helping me? Why is he only taking care of himself? Doesn't he see that there's two kids running around and I'm trying to get myself ready and the two kids ready? Like, why is he doing absolutely nothing? And then because we're engaged with the default way of relationship, it like real time, I was able to go, Sierra, like, he's clearly like focused on getting himself ready and doing this, and like, that's okay. Why are you making him wrong right now? He just like doesn't know that you need help. And I said to you, like, and it was fine. We got all ready. And I think I said like, next time I would love just some more awareness of what the situation is. And you were like, oh, what was it? And I was like, the kids just like needed help and I was trying to get ready and it just wasn't happening. And you were like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that. And being able to function in a way of allowing him to really not realize that, like, whatever, for whatever reason, as women, we think that like they need to like understand, and it's like sometimes they just don't notice, and sometimes I don't notice either. And so, but I could have in that moment started a fight, started an argument in the getting ready to leave.
Yeah.
But instead, I was just like, oh, and the truth was like, honestly, I don't even need him to be aware next time. I mean, it's nice, but what it really was...
It's a request?
No, it was really just you saying, oh, I didn't know. And me going, oh, yeah, you didn't know.
Yeah.
And actually believing you. Like, believing that, like, you just missed it. And sometimes we just miss things because we're human beings.
Yeah.
So sometimes things are missed. And it's really easy to be like, well, my partner misses the same thing every single day. And it's like, well, yeah, but...
This brings up a good topic, actually, what you're saying. Of enrolling, how we're very addicted to finding evidence to fill the narrative.
I don't know why I'm feeling so grumpy and like about this right now.
Maniac.
I don't know why. Monday, I just feel. I think it's because it's just like out in the world right now. Everybody just wants to not take responsibility and blame everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Starts at the top,
and it's like, just be a little more self-aware and believe what's coming out of their mouth.
Yeah, well, starts at the top. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but we live in a culture that doesn't do that.
No, we live in a culture where if something's wrong in your relationship, it is 100% most definitely the other person's fault.
Well, yeah, but like again, starts at the top. Like we have an entire society built on that, culturally, like politically. So we're taught that in the schools. We're taught that everywhere. Do we have any questions at all?
I don't know, because nothing's working. Hi, Erica.
Oh, hey, Erica.
So that is where I am feeling.
Fire.
I wasn't even feeling saucy about it until Zach said something, and now I'm like, yeah. Why is everybody doing that?
What I was explaining on a walk with my walk with my friend is that notice how we are constantly sorting for evidence.
Sorry, guys. We can't see comments on this camera that we're using, and so it makes us sad. So yeah. I'm just changing because we missed them last time.
Notice how addicted we are to like finding evidence to back up our story.
So
like when I was talking about, a good friend walking, and he said like, well, he was like looking for, data points to fill in the narrative that he already thought. And so then he's essentially on the lookout looking for evidence to prove his preconceived notion of whatever he was telling himself at the time. Like, well, I have fear because of this. I'm anxious
you collect
because of this.
information or such good information.
The reason why I'm disconnected from my wife is because I'm stressed about my debt and my finances, and that is why. And for proof, then I got a phone call, and then my mother-in-law's brother-in-law's friends died, and now I'm sad about that. And like, he was constantly just trying to find reasons to like back up his anxiety and sadness and fear, and all of his language was committed to fulfilling that story. And it's kind of like what you're saying is like, you start to like, when you can kind of break that narrative and that language cycle, and you realize that everything important to you in your entire life, 100% of the things are found inside of what you say about it. It's not all of it, but it's a great place to start on where things can be created. And I think, we know that that is a profound place to start.
Yeah. And it is something that you have to become like awake to or notice and experience the default. Like we live as we think we know what our default way of being in relationship is together. However, there are things that for us needed to be, you get down. Can you get him down? Need to be like uncover in the background. That is our cat jumped up on the counter.
Uh-oh.
He's a dead cat now. That need to be like uncovered, that are going in the background. And this takes time. I mean, so in the workshop that we have coming up, when we were years ago participating as participants, we actually participated 2 times. Like that is like the layers of like the uncovering, and people will engage in that default way of being multiple times, sometimes 10 years apart, sometimes 2 years apart, sometimes 4 years apart. They actually choose to do it again because sometimes we start living in such this like automatic way of being that you don't even realize that you just fell in back to the automatic. And because maybe it's new, maybe your place of life is different, maybe your relationships change, maybe your financial situations change. And so those new like automatic ways of being like look different on you. Like our automatic way of being right now is very different than it was a year ago. Like your job is different, like everything's different. And so it's like our automatic looks different. It's still there. Like the essence of it is still there, but how we wear it, how it shows up is different.
Yes.
So it's like, so that's why like this is something that's like you can continually engage with without continuous use of tools like or tallies or scorekeeping.
It's again, I'll just go back to, because it was like a 3-hour-long walk. It's top of my mind. Is this gentleman was very curious about like what is he getting, and like, well, what are you going to learn? I mean, yeah, you do learn. You do learn. So I don't want to take that away, but I think there's something. It's the conundrum is, I think we sometimes. It's like and I've used this so many times, like the coffee. If you keep burning yourself like this and you didn't realize there's a handle here, you burn yourself, and you only grab the handle like this. All I have to do is turn it. You don't need to learn much. You just need to see something. I guess you're learning that there's another perspective. But simply having a perspective gives you the freedom to choose.
Yeah.
And I think that's that's different than being told what to do.
Right. And sometimes when we want to like eject out of a relationship or exit out of a relationship or exit, I mean, and this doesn't even have to be with a relationship. This could be with a system, with a business plan, with a health plan, with your boss. It doesn't matter. If you keep burning yourself like this and all you do is like, well, I guess I need another tool. I need a koozie so I don't burn my hand. I need a glove. I need to, put cold liquid in it or whatever. There's like all of these different things that you can do. And a lot of us will be like, you know what? I just need a new mug. I keep getting burned by that one. When all you literally had to do was just like see something. And so I think we feel like, and we encounter a lot of couples or people in their health where they're like, they come to us as like the last straw, the last ditch effort. And what we're saying is, yes, you can always engage with us that way. And there's at some point your relationship's going to get real hot and you're going to want to know this is there. You have access to it all the time.
You have access to it. You don't need to do anything.
You don't need to do anything with it. But gosh, it's a lot. It's really great when you can see something, you know it's there. And so, and I think we get to this point sometimes in these plans, systems, relationships, health, whatever, where we really just want to exit entirely. And what we're saying is before you exit, consider that there actually may be something new that you haven't seen that's like 100% accessible to you. Because I've wanted to exit multiple times and have. And it's really humbling and sobering when you realize like, oh, dang it. It was actually there the whole time. And that was 100% me. And that's why I feel so fiery and saucy about it, is because I know what it's like and I understand. And I know that process of having to take like radical responsibility for something that you did. And it's really hard, especially when you think that the very sharing of it, going through it, dealing with it, whatever, is going to actually break the relationship. It was also by not doing that, it was the space in between us as well. So you're either going to use that thing and it's going to be the continuous space between you, the thing that's never going to get you closer. It's like, because you're protecting it all the time, or you're going to have to do the work and actually engage with it. You know, it's just not easy. So maybe that's why I'm feeling so saucy about it, is because I've been there and I'm like, you can do this.
If you haven't checked it out, I would encourage you, to check out the video I posted yesterday. It's about 5 minutes. That sometimes exiting and leaving your relationship is not physically. Sometimes it's really not it's not divorce. It's because you were ready to go. I don't think I was ever ready to go physically. Like I was more ready to go. Like I was more like, well, how I exited the relationship is just doing whatever I wanted when I was like living a single life married to you and treating you like something that I could be with and experience, whether it be emotionally, conversation, or sex, when I wanted it. And it's like, when I was in the mood to talk to you, then it's like you were there when I wanted you. And I would treated you like that. And then I would be angry when you weren't ready. So I would leave the relationship and escape the relationship. It just looked different. You know what I mean? So I was naive, like, oh, how could, like I was committed to like, oh yeah, we just stay married, but we just kind of, I guess this just sucks. And I guess you just drink your way through it and go party and have fun and, maybe flirt, just kind of do whatever you want, have a good time, make a lot of good money and buy a bunch of shit that you don't need. And this is what it is.
I guess this is it. This is what it is. I guess it's like, that does not have to be so,
Yeah. So no one escapes from it. But if you're experiencing that, just know you're not alone. And we can't say it enough, and we're going to keep saying it. Like, you have access, you have the ability to see something in a way that actually will give you peace and ease, and also give you the chance, the opportunity, the option, the choice to choose something new. And I think some of you feel like you don't have any choices. You feel like you have no way out, and you're stuck, and it's time to call it quits.
Or some of you are on the other side of that, where you really do feel like there's nothing else that you can do.
And you just grown apart, maybe.
And you're going apart, or maybe somebody's asked for a divorce or something like that, where it's like, no, I'm actually already on the other side of this.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're saying is, whether you're on the other side of it or not, there's still a relationship there.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not about to like tell you like, oh, we save marriages and we build. No, because that's actually in your hands. And that also might not be the marriage you or the relationship that you want. Maybe you are on the other side of that, but now you have to co-parent. That can look pretty awesome. We've seen it look really awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We've seen it happen. We've seen people make that transition of where it's like, wow, look at how that ended, and now look at what's beginning in this space.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool.
I decided to put my glasses like you.
Well, when I go like this, I know I'm squinting when I like try to read stuff, but
I know.
I feel like the glare is
My contacts
tricky.
in. Well, we're out of time. See you later. Bye. No. Any closing thoughts? We'll be live tomorrow. You guys might have sent me a question. I just didn't check my messages prior, so I apologize.
I don't have anything.
I have a bunch, and I didn't check it.
Sorry, I feel like I got a little saucy.
I like sauce, spicy sauce.
Okay. I hope everybody's having a really great one day.
If this conversation is interesting to you, tag somebody, send it to them.
Yeah, or maybe it's time to just like schedule a Zoom with us and say, Remember, like, if you're single and you're like, why can't I find a great relationship? Like,
why can't I stay in one?
Why can't I stay in one? Maybe it's time to take a relationship workshop. Mm-hmm. So you can always send us a message, and we can just have a chat. We're a no pressure crew.
No weird stuff. No weird stuff.
We're a no weird stuff duo over here. So
okay. Until then, we'll see you then.
We'll see you later.
Or we'll see you tomorrow.